Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, today we're going to build this little clock icon that when you click on it, it pops up your business hours. And it's floating there on the side, so it'll stay there while people are scrolling up and down your website. And it's really easy to do. To do this today, we're going to be using the fantastic Divi Supreme Modules Pro plugin. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the visual builder, and to make this work today, like I say, we need to have Divi Supreme Pro installed. And once installed, if you go to your dashboard down to Divi Supreme Pro, on the General Settings tab, you want to make sure you've got Enable Divi Popup switched to on, so it's purple like that, and then save your changes. If you forget this step, this will not work today, so make sure you do that. Okay, let's go back to our page. Now the visual builder is loaded, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of our little icon up there. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to add a business hours module. If we click on add new module, and it doesn't matter where I add this because I'm going to delete it in a minute once I save it to my library. Divi comes as standard with all the light grey modules. When you have Divi Supreme Pro installed, you get all of these purpley blue ones here, and there's over 40 of them, and they really do put the Divi theme on steroids. And the one I want to use today is the business hours right here, so I'm going to put that in and need to add a new item. And for the text, it puts in Monday for us, so I'm going to just leave mine like that, and I'm going to create another 4 of them, so we've got sort of a weekly business hours. I'm just going to hit the little clone button 4 times. There we go. And we'll go into the second one. Of course, put in whatever hours you want. I'm leaving mine as the default there. Not going to spend too much time on this. Obviously you want to spend a bit more time on styling yours. So I've got 5 days there. That'll do me absolutely fine. As you can see, it's put them in here, sort of grid fashion. I'm going to give it a background. I'll give it a quick background gradient. You can color, gradient, image, or video if you want to. You can also give it a stripe background if you want by putting that on, and as you see, it'll sort of gradiate from one to the other, but I'm just going to use a simple gradient background. There we are. I'll leave that top one as blue, and let's make this a different color, this one. That's absolutely fine. Great. So I'm not going to change anything else there. I'm going to go straight on to the design tab. For the text, well, I'm going to leave it pretty much as it is. I just want to make it light so we can actually see it on that background. I think I'll bring it up a couple of pixels. Letter spacing I'll leave as it is. Line height, I'm going to bring that up a little bit just to space it out some. That's fine. Obviously you do exactly what you want. You can affect these separately. The day text, for instance, let's capitalize the day text and make it semi-bold perhaps. And the same with the time text. I'm going to leave that as is. You can put a separator in between the Monday and the time, or the day and the time, like that, by simply checking whichever you want. You can have a solid line, a dotted line, a dashed line. Make it the color that you want, and tell it where you want it to start, how far away from the actual wording. But I'm going to leave mine as just plain, because I'm going to put a separator in which will help, or a divider I should say, a divider in. And for my divider, I'm going to have a solid divider. I'm going to make it white in color, but I'm going to click on the color and take the opacity down a little bit so it's not quite as intense. It's still there, but not quite as in your face, as they say. Sizing wise, I'm going to leave that just as it is. Spacing, I'm going to add, let's add 25 pixels all round. Just put in the number, it'll put in the pics for you. Hit the chain, it'll do the opposite side. And we'll do the same for the left and right. Border, let's just give it slightly rounded corners there. Let's say 5 pixels. Again, just put in the 5, it'll put in the pixels. If you've got that chain highlighted, it'll do all 4 at once. As you can see, we've got slightly rounded corners there. And let's just give it a little white border. Say 1 pixel and white. That'll do fine. I think we're good to go with that. So I'm actually going to save that. I'm going to save it to my Divi library, little round icon just to the left of the trash can there. Call it what you will so you can remember what it is. And hit the save to library. Once we've saved it to the library, we can go ahead and trash it. Great. Now let's add another new module. This time I'm going to add a blurb purely so I can use the little icon that comes with it. There's a blurb module, just a regular Divi blurb module. I'm not going to have any writing whatsoever, no title and no description. And I'm going to go down to image and icon just below. I'm going to flip that use icon to on. I'm going to choose my icon. I'll see if I can find a little clock. I know there's one here. There we go. As you can see, it's put it in right there. Don't want to link it to anything. We could put a background color in if you're rolling over a site with different colors. Let's go ahead and put a background in, and I'll make it a sort of dark gray so you can see it, because I want to make this a lot smaller. So I hope you can see that. I haven't made it too dark. We'll leave that like it is for a moment. And let's go on to our design tab. Image and icon. Quite like the color. Obviously you can change it and make it whatever color you want. But it's a bit too big for me. I don't want to circle it. You can circle it and put a color in the background there if you want to. Make the icon a different color. But I don't want to circle mine. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Placement's fine. I'm going to use icon font size because I don't want it quite as big as that. Let's bring it down to, yeah, let's say 65 pics. You can either type it in there, you can fine tune with the little arrows here, or you can use the slider. Okay, moving on down. Don't have any text, so I don't need to mess with anything of those. Sizing, I am going to make it all a bit smaller. So width wise, I know that's 65 pics, so I want to make the full width of this, well, let's say 70 pixels. Again, just put in what you want. You might want to put in the right value instead of the wrong value like I put in there. There we go. Well, a little bit short, say 70, something like that. That's fine. And we'll do the same. I'll just copy that for the height as well. Control C to copy, and we'll go down to height and I'll paste that in there. There we go. That may be a little bit high, so I might take some of the height away from that. That's fine. That's going to work fine. So we've got our little element now, and we want it to float to one side or bottom, top, wherever you want yours. I'm going to put mine in the middle right over here. And when we click on it, we want it to pop up the business hours that we created before. So let's get that done. Let's go over to our advanced tab. We'll go to visibility, and if we roll down, you're going to see a little switch that says use pop-up. Now if you've forgotten to enable this in Divi Supreme Pro beforehand, this will not work. So let's switch it on, and we want to pop up a layout, and we want to select the layout from our library. But I've got to save this and refresh the page before I do, because I haven't refreshed since we actually created that business hour module, so it won't find it. So let's just save that, and I'll save the page, and I'll hit the refresh button. Okay, now our page is refreshed. Let's go back into our module. I'm going to go back over to advanced and where we left off, which was visibility. Down, we turned our switch on to use as a pop-up. Told it wants to pop up our layout, now we should be able to find our layout in our library that we saved, and we called it business hours. There it is down the bottom, biz hours. So that's the pop-up that we want it to pop up. We want it to trigger on module click, so when they click anywhere on this module, that's where it's going to trigger. We want to close the pop-up if they click anywhere outside, that's fine. Don't want to use auto close because you can put a time on there and have it close after so many seconds or whatever you choose. There's all kind of entrance and exit animations you can choose from here. Play with them because they've got some crazy effects. Pop-up position center, yeah, I want it in the middle of our page here, or middle of the screen, whatever they're viewing on. I want it to be absolute, so I don't want it to move when they move up and down the screen. Don't need to use it as full width. That's a great feature, but we're not using it on this time. That'll actually cover the menu and everything like a complete pop-out. Pop-up max width, I find that 680 works for just about everything because my actual module is not that long, but if you decide you want to change it on for tab and mobile devices, you can do so, have different settings for those, but this tends to work for me, so I'm going to leave it just on the default there. We do want to show an overlay that'll darken out the background like a lightbox effect, and you can choose your color here, and again I'm just going to leave mine on the default. That seemed to work fine as you saw in the beginning. We can choose to show a close button or not because they can click anywhere outside. I'll leave that as it is, and I'll say yep, leave it inside, so it'll be on top of our little business hours thing. Choose the font size. As default, it's got an X, which is pretty standard for closing things out. And I don't want a background color on there. And I'll make the icon white. That ought to work for me. I'm not going to add any transitions, but let's go down to position and make this float. So it stays on one side when they're scrolling up and down the site. So I've clicked on position, and underneath position here, I'm going to go from default to fixed. And it looks like it's disappeared, but it's actually on the top right hand side there, or sorry, top left hand side I should say. You can put it top middle, top right, middle right, which is where I'm going to put it, bottom right, middle, or left. And you've also got horizontal and vertical offset, here we go, that you can pull it out from the side or pull it up and down if you're using one of the bottom slots. If I put it on this one, you've got a vertical as well. So you could push it down or bring it back up. But I'm going to put mine right there in the middle, and I'm going to roll it out just a little bit. That's probably about right. Let's round it down to 10, just fine tune with those. And that'll stay there as they're rolling down the site, so it'll always be on top for them to find. So let's just save our changes. We'll save the page changes. And exit the Visual Builder. And there's our little floating clock icon. As you can see, I'm scrolling up and down the page. It stays where it is. And when we click on it, it pops out our business hours. And I put that rubber band effect on the entrance. I can't remember what I put on the exit. And you can either click outside, or you can click on the little X, which is the closing icon right there. And that's a nice little feature to have on your site, and really easy to do as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.